So recently I got around to binge watching Cartoon Network and Netflix's first collaborated show, 12 Forever. Similar to how Nickelodeon collaborated with Netflix for Pinky Malinky, in which I may get to at some point. Anyway, this show is probably the weirdest I've reviewed thus far. In fact, it's one of the weirdest shows I've seen in a while. I'm not sure how to even describe this show, but I'll try. Okay, so the main protagonist, named Reggie, is a girl that recently turned 12 years old. The first episode is her birthday. However, she is having problems on dealing with growing up and has no interest in doing so. She is, however, interested in kid stuff, like toys and generally being messy to her mother's dismay, who wants her to accept the fact she's growing up and act more like her age. On her birthday, her mom buys her more age appropriate things such as makeup, deodorant, and even a bra. To escape her reality of her changes, she goes to this fantasy island called Endless. No one else knows about Endless besides her two best friends, Todd and Esther. On Endless Island, Reggie takes her alter ego, 12, whom of which has superpowers such as super strength and being very good at sports. Todd and Esther also have superpowers. Todd can turn into any animal similar to Beast Boy, and Esther can fly and can summon a magical rope. Endless also inhabits some creatures, most of which came about in the first episode when Reggie's mom wanted her to get rid of her toys. So she put them in a backpack and buried them in the sand on Endless, which made them come to life. The Islanders aren't very intelligent, but it's actually pretty funny at just how dumb they are sometimes. My favorite of which is Dr. Champion of Bug Thing. He's basically a mixture of Pops from Regular Show and Lemon Grab from Adventure Time.
Oh, Kangaroo Willie, you are a hoot! Tick, 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 ding! Milk time! Ah! Ha, ha, ha!
A lot of the drama that happens on Earth affects or carries on to Endless, such as characters arguing or even emotions coming to life. The last show I watched having to do with puberty was another Netflix show, Big Mouth, and this show definitely does it better. As for one thing, this show is more mature about the situation than Big Mouth is. Then again, I really don't like Big Mouth, but I actually do like 12 Forever. As I said before, it's one of the weirdest shows I've ever seen, but it has a certain charm to it. Oh, I forgot to mention that 12 Forever also takes host to one of my favorite new villains, the Butt Witch. In fact, why don't we take a look at her debut episode and the second episode of the show, the Butt Witch Forever. The episode starts with Reggie's mom walking into Reggie's room and giving her a box of books. Reggie thinks they are comic books, but is disappointed to find out that they are actually books about how the body changes through puberty. Her mom tells her to read them and asks her if she has any questions. Reggie and her mom's relationship is a bit awkward, but you can tell they do care about each other, and her mom is doing her best as a single parent. Reggie then goes to Endless to read the books with Todd, and this show doesn't sugarcoat or hold back anything.
Ooh, let's learn about menstrual cramps!
I can definitely understand as to why this show wasn't on regular TV. Todd thinks it's funny how Reggie's mom thinks she doesn't already know these things about puberty, in which Reggie clearly doesn't and has no desire in learning so. In fact, she's pissed about having to grow up. She actually rages like this a lot in the show because she doesn't really know how to deal with her emotions. I can definitely relate to that. She throws the books into a volcano, which turns the book into the main antagonist of the series, the Butt Witch. And boy, do I have a lot to say about this woman. Okay, so looking at this character, how do you think she would sound?
It is just so deliciously delightful to be back.
If you guessed a deep British guy's voice, then you definitely seen or know about this show. This was very strange to me, but it grew on me. A bit weird, but it kind of fits along with her background music.
Who would do such a thing to my grown-up wonderland? What's that I smell? Shame. fear and confusion. Now this is something I can work with.
Okay, so the Butt Witch actually isn't her real name, as it's just a nickname that Reggie gives her.
And what are you? Some kind of big old butt witch?
Her real name is never actually said. With a nickname like that, and having a male voice, you'd know her character must be odd as well. Apparently, from what I can gather, she's basically the embodiment and negative effects of puberty. The negative effects are purely through Reggie's eyes, though. This would explain her exaggerated curves as well as her deep voice. However, even though the Butt Witch uses female pronouns to describe herself and everyone else does, she is also apparently a genderless creature? So she's female but also genderless. I don't understand. What is also confusing about her is her backstory. Even though we see her being born from the books going into a volcano, she has apparently been on the island before and is disgusted by how much it's changed.
This is all wrong. What a horribly tacky place this has become. Everything is so trivial and cute.
So, did she somehow get reincarnated into those books or something? I seriously don't understand. Like I said before, this show is weird. But anyway, she basically doesn't like kids and thinks everyone should be adult like herself. Reggie then goes into one of her rages, declaring her body is fine and she is the strongest person on Endless, and wants to prove this by fighting someone. She goes to Beefcake and Mac's house, wanting to spar them. They are two of the characters Reggie made that came to life. Beefcake and Mac are actually a gay couple. In fact, about 90% of the characters within this show are part of the LGBT community, which is certainly surprising to see. I am glad that LGBT characters are becoming more common in kids shows, but I can't really think of any other kids shows where LGBT characters are the majority of the cast. In fact, Reggie herself is even a member of the community, as in one episode she develops a crush on an 8th grade girl. Reggie is really the only main character in a kids show that I can think of. Because of Beefcake and Mac's peaceful nature, they decline and instead basically have her meditate. Back to the Butt Witch as she smells Reggie's insecurities and hunts her down.
And listen to your body.
Inside every little girl is a woman waiting to bloom. I don't want to think about my body!
The Butt Witch finds Reggie as she is looking for someone to spar.
Inside every little girl is a woman waiting to bloom.
The Butt Witch manipulates Reggie into thinking she gave her all the negative body effects of puberty, which causes her to almost be defeated. However, the endless creatures assure her that it's all in her head. Reggie and Todd then begin beating the crap out of the Butt Witch. Reggie even goes as far as chopping off the Butt Witch's tail with an axe. The Butt Witch then goes into the woods, saying they'll pay. We end the episode on Earth with Reggie admitting to her mom she didn't already know the contents of the book and she doesn't want to. She also admits she's scared to. 12 Forever requires a pretty acquired taste in order to enjoy it, but I do recommend it and I hope you enjoyed this video. Follow me on Twitter for frequent updates on upcoming videos and polls. Most importantly though, thank you for watching.